is being constructed, and also the contractor Muniappa. Now, talking of 52-year-old Muniraja Reddy, who is apparently a civil engineer by profession, the man was allegedly giving all construction instructions to one Murugesh, the head mason, over video calls. Can you imagine? It's the worst example, I guess, of using technology to cover up dereliction of duty. Imagine on video calls, instructions were being given by this person who's now, of course, in custody, Muniraja Reddy. No wonder the building fell. The guilty have been remanded to 14 days of judicial custody. The BBMP has been whipped out of their slumber into action after the Babusapalya incident, and they hit the ground running by ordering the demolition of an under construction ground plus 5-story building located at the Horamavu area of Mahadevapura zone. Also in Islampur of HAL ward, an old and dilapidated ground plus 1-story building has been marked out for demolition. So this is how all the problems in buildings are being now managed. I wish they had done this much before, when even after issuing notices, there was absolutely no action which was being taken, because notices were given, but there are allegations that the engineer as well as BBMP officials were in cahoots and they were taking bribes. And look at this, a building collapses in Bengaluru. This is the IT city, this is the Silicon Valley of India. This is how things happen here.
Just one second without this. Just one second without this.
Appeared in a building and a tragedy averted. For more details, let me now go across to my colleague Mohammad Wajiullah. Waji, thank you for joining us. Waji, tell us what is the latest in the Babusapalya incident where the house just crumbled and 9 people are dead.
Well, yes, Sudha, today the NDRF team and the SDRF team have managed to complete the entire operation. In the afternoon, another body was found at the particular site. It was the last person who was missing for the last 2 days, and they were not able to find him. Today, the last person came out, and now the death toll has risen to 9 people with regards to this particular happened at Babusapalya. Now, after that, we've also seen how Lokayukta and the BBMP officials have carried out other operations in and across the city with regards to illegal constructions that have become rampant in the place. But with regards to Babusapalya, now the clearing of the debris is going on as of now, and they are trying to see what could be the reason for the fall. Materials have been gathered, evidences with regards to the materials that was used, what kind of a shoddy work was it, and what are the plan sanctions, because we've already seen how these local officials have said that as far as this particular building is concerned, there were no plan of sanction. There were violations with regards to the floors that were there in the particular building. So all these things are now looked into. But now what we can say is the operation somewhere or the other has come to an end with this last body that is found. But the unfortunate incident is that it took 9 people's lives in this entire incident.
Wajiullah, I also want to bring to your notice about, these 2 other buildings which were on the verge of collapsing. Don't you think, Waji, the BBMP has finally gotten up from the deep slumber?
Yes, Sudha, the sad part is it took 9 lives for the BBMP to get up and take action with regards to illegal buildings in and across the city. So now what we know is the Mahadevapura area, about which I had informed you about yesterday, how there are places where buildings have violated close to 100% from their actual plan of sanction. So areas like Mahadevapura, Horamavu, these are areas that have cropped up in the recent few years, and these are places where the roads are narrow, if you can say 10-15 feet roads, but you can find apartments which are 8 floors, 7 floors. So these kinds of violations are now being looked into by the BBMP. The BBMP have also said the Deputy Chief Minister has instructed the BBMP to do drone surveillance of the entire place. So from Monday onwards, there will be drone surveillance in the city to find out if there are other properties that are violated more than G+3. So we are going to see more action taken with regards to this in the coming days.
All right. On that note, thank you very much, Mohammad Wajiullah, for joining us on this broadcast. And let's not forget, the BBMP reports to the government of the day, and that is being led by Siddaramaiah. Think about it, Bengaluru. I'm going to take a break, but the next story which is coming up is also from Karnataka, the Channapatna Bypoll. Nikhil Kumaraswamy versus CP Yogeshwar in a very high-stakes political showdown, as it were. Exciting times ahead in Channapatna.
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world, and we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Let yourself flow with the turn of each tide.
Salty winds, you sweeten your ride.
Maharashtra tourism.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
All right, that's our second story, also coming from Karnataka, the Channapatna churn. In what promises to be a cliffhanger of a bypoll, the Channapatna Assembly constituency in Karnataka will witness a high-stakes battle between two actors turned politicians. Yes, you're correct. You know, both Nikhil Kumaraswamy as well as CP Yogeshwar were actors who turned politicians. Whether they were successful or not, another conversation. In what was an openly kept secret, Nikhil Kumaraswamy, the grandson of former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda and son of former Chief Minister of Karnataka, who is now a Union Minister, H.D. Kumaraswamy is the National Democratic Alliance candidate who shall take on C.P. Yogeshwar, who after much political drama left the BJP and filed his nomination on a Congress ticket.
Recent political developments which has taken place regarding Channapatna, as we all know, the whole of the state has watched it. Given an opportunity to contest as a NDA candidate, so I will, and even all the Karyakartas, everybody, both the Karyakartas are with me. I'm sure people also will bless me. We are NDA alliance partners, so we will take everybody into confidence as we did in last Lok Sabha polls.
All right, the reason for C.P. Yogeshwar's shift was because of betrayal, because of what he was promised, and that being the BJP-JDS alliance in Karnataka, giving him the candidature, the ticket on a platter. After all, the actor turned politician has a very impressive past record. Not only does he have a sure shot vote bank in the Vokkaliga dominated constituency, let's not forget, he was elected 5 times from Channapatna constituency since 1999 as an independent, also from the Congress party, the BJP and Samajwadi party. Yes, he may be a party hopper, but he delivers. There were talks that if Yogeshwar would consider fighting on a JDS symbol, When Yogeshwar got to know that even Bhadrappa has left it to the JDS to take a decision on the candidate, Yogeshwar decided to say goodbye to the BJP and jumped over to the Congress. The grand old man of the BJP in the state, B.S. Bhadrappa, made the party's intent very clear on the issue and said as follows: our party has already announced candidates for 2 of the 3 assembly seats that are facing by-elections in the state. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has made it clear that Channapatna seat belongs to JDS and that party is free to decide on the candidate. After many consultations with the big daddies of the JDS, soon after, BJP strongman and former Chief Minister Bhadrappa officially announced Nikhil as the NDA candidate, whose third foray needs all in the alliance to keep their multiple fingers crossed, because he lost in Ramanagara in 23 assembly elections. In 2019, he lost the Mandya Lok Sabha constituency to independent candidate, the actress turned politician Sumalata. Now, in all this, enter the DK brothers, Deputy Chief Minister Shivakumar and his younger sibling Suresh, who lost to Nikhil Kumaraswamy's uncle, CN Manjunath, in Bengaluru rural Lok Sabha constituency, and the brothers may be angling to avenge the defeat. I told you that's why the Channapatna churn is proving to be a super duper thriller. But the question is, why would the BJP JDS combine given to what seems like a defeat? And why is the Congress relying on a perennial turncoat like Yogeshwar? Let's debate. The guests who are joining me is Professor Chambi Puranik, senior political analyst. We are also awaiting Bansi Kalappa, who is a senior journalist. But as of now, Professor Puranik, a very, very warm welcome to you, sir. Namaskara.
Good evening, sir. Namaste.
Sir, you know, this alliance is of convenience. We've discussed it many times. The BJP and JDS alliance. It's for, you know, getting a kind of a stronghold, being there, winning elections. But even recently, when all this Channapatna thing was happening, Kumaraswamy said very clearly, I am tired. I cannot handle this anymore. When we tell CP Yogeshwar you can fight, if he just says no and is sulking in a corner. What do you think made Bhadrappa to say, let this seat go to BJP, JDS, we are okay with this? Is it because of the Vocaliga dominance? And what about the tiredness and fatigue of HDK, sir?
The question of HD Kumaraswamy being tired or demoralized to some extent. But in the heart of heart, he also knew that someday, the Channapatna seat, which belongs to JDS in 2 elections, because Yogeshwar lost in 2018 and 2023, though, as you said, he's a very seasoned politician and he is also, capable of mustering his own supporters there. But those supporters are within the Vocaliga community. Now, here the question is the domination of the Vocaliga community in that constituency itself is a deciding factor. Who is going to be the Vocaliga leader? As on today, JDS has that stronghold, and twice Kumaraswamy has become MLA. And naturally, legally and technically, politically, it belongs to JDS. So Mr. Kumaraswamy was hoping that his son would be the candidate, because whatever he said, there is something hidden in Mr. Kumaraswamy. And so another thing is, Mr. Kumaraswamy is always capable of playing to the emotions of the people, not only to his own caste people, but also to the people of Karnataka. Now, in this context, he bent upon giving the ticket to Yogeshwar in the name of the JDS party, which Yogeshwar didn't want, because he knew that once he becomes a JDS candidate, his emergence or prominence in the Vocaliga community in that particular area will be diminished. So naturally, Yogesh has his own ambitions and all that. So therefore, it is Kumaraswamy who has taken a very conscious and a very clever and intelligent decision by seeing that no other candidate is available. You see, Yogeshwar himself was not a strong candidate, but with the support of BJP and JDS, he would have definitely won
sir, he's got a very impressive past record, Professor. It's like a student who has always scored 100 out of 100. Whether he's an independent, whether he's with Congress earlier, whether he's with the Samajwadi Party. So he's a sure shot winner who will bring the Vokkaliga community to vote for him. And now, of course, things change because he's jumped over to the Congress. Let me come back to Bansi Kalappa is also joining us, but over the phone line. Bansi, can you hear me? Bansi?
Yeah, I can hear you well. If Yogeshwara's chances are good. Now it's a straight fight between him and Nikhil Kumaraswamy. And this is Nikhil Kumaraswamy's third straight election, and it looks like things are against him in this election.
Yeah.
Because although leader of opposition in Karnataka, Mr. Ashok, says that Kumaraswamy won with a 25,000 margin last time, and that this time Nikhil will win by a 30,000 or 40,000 margin. That's what he's saying today. But it looks like, a pipe dream, because things not really going in favor of JDS. Because like all of us know, any by-election really favors the ruling party, and that is the Congress here. And second, Congress has its own vote share in Channapatna, and we've seen Channapatna easily, they have about 30,000-40,000 votes. And that's the second point. And the third most important reason is that Yogeshwar himself is a 5-time MLA. He has won as an independent in 99, and of course, last 2 rounds he lost to Kumaraswamy. But his popularity after he filled up those lakes and tanks there is quite good. So nobody can write him off.
Ask you also, Bansi, knowing Nikhil Kumaraswamy's past record, why is the BJP JDS taking such a risk, sir? Quickly, if you can tell me.
No, basically the JDS leadership, this is what the thinking is. In Kannada, the JDS leadership is saying, seat hodru parvagilla, election sotru parvagilla, seat hogbardu. So it means that even if we lose the election, we must not lose the seat. So this time if Nikhil contests and loses, for next time he gets a chance of winning. So the idea is the constituency remains intact with the JDS. That is the JDS leadership thinking.
Right. Let me go to Professor Saab. Professor, let's talk about the DK brothers now. The very dramatic DK brothers who are now clapping, saying, oh, Yogeshwar is with us. So it's not like old camaraderie, it's not friendship. Politics, no one is a friend. Do you think that with Yogeshwar coming there, they have an advantage in the Vokkaliga heartland? And also, it's about reclaiming the Vokkaliga community, because the brother Suresh, he lost it. So it's about consolidating the Vokkaliga community. It's a good opportunity for them. Don't you think, sir?
Yeah, I think Mr. D.K. Shivakumar is a great strategist and also a very shrewd person. But the problem, Sudha, is that in this constituency, in the Lok Sabha elections, the brother has lost it. And it's a very big setback for D.K. Shivakumar, who wants to be the next chief minister after Siddaramaiah vacates or some agreement is done. So therefore, I think, when himself, by campaigning in this constituency, he has lost because his brother lost. So that means to say it's a kind of an opportunity to revive his own whatever influence or image in that constituency. So also in the state politics, as that he would be the only candidate for chief minister post, because he himself is only a deputy chief minister. So that itself shows that there are kind of hidden whatever kind of intentions are there. But Mr. Kalappa mentioned about this Nikhil Kumaraswamy being the handicapped or is not in a position to give competition, tough competition. But it is going to be tough also, because D.K. Shivakumar himself is aware of that particular limitations, and Yogeshwar, in spite of his being a so-called popular leader who has been elected and all that, because of his frequent hopping from party to party and also his own, selfish interest, because he has no ideology, he has no identity, he has no loyalty. These things are going to definitely play on the emotions of the Vokkaliga leaders, because the future of Vokkaliga leadership has to be decided in Channapatna constituency in terms of its future emergence as a leader.
Bansi, is it sure that, it's going to be most probably a cakewalk for Yogeshwar? You think so?
See, if you look at numbers, if you look at 18, Yogeshwar got about 66,000 votes. This is even when he's contesting from the BJP, and BJP doesn't have more than even 10,000 votes there. In 2023, again contesting from the BJP, he got about 80,000 votes, where again the BJP, votes are less than 10,000. So what does that give Yogeshwar? It gives him a solid 50 to 65,000 votes, which are his own. So, wherever he goes, those votes follow him. So, let's remember that this is the same man in 1999 who won handsomely against established parties.
Exactly.
And even when he was in the Congress, he's won straight away
Yes,
twice.
yes.
So we can't write him off. Of course, there is a huge negative publicity from his daughter, but in spite of all the family, linen being washed in public, in spite of it, he has a solid edge.
But tell me something, Bansi, another interesting factor is what Professor was saying about the DK brothers. Do you think it's a major ego clash also? In politics, avenging, revenge, all these things play a very important part. A lot of politicians adhere to this principle of I will avenge it. Do you think DK Shivakumar, the brothers, Suresh and Shivakumar, have a major ego clash with HDK? I mean, overall, to say that, okay, our chance now, we will show you what it means to have a win, because we saw some of the results in during the Lok Sabha elections, Bansi.
See, if you look at the DK brothers are no great friend of Yogeshwara, because if you look at Yogeshwara, he lists DK Shivakumar as his enemy number one. So now two people on opposing ends have come together to defeat a common enemy. So all this happens in politics. I mean, they are no angels really. They are all politicians.
Exactly.
So how much of revenge is there? How much of this bitterness, this acrimony is there? Not really sure, but yes, these are human beings who will squabble, who will slug it out. This is a turf war at the end of it. Let's remember that.
Okay, let me now go across to Professor. Professor, I just have 2 minutes left. Professor, the win in Channapatna, what will it mean for the politics of Karnataka? Will it be strengthening the hands because the Vokkaligas would have spoken in one way?
I think, as Mr. Bansi mentioned, it's a tough fight. Even the victory margin will be very narrow, because the competition is between two, rivals or people who disagree with each other. That is DK Shivakumar brothers versus HD Devagowda and DK HD Kumaraswamy. But here, Mr. Yogeshwar is not also trusted by Congress leaders. Just only for the sake of election, they have given him the ticket because Congress never had a good candidate. So you must know that Congress has desperately was waiting for Yogeshwar to switch from BJP to Congress. So that means to show the voters, especially the Vokkaliga voters, they are going to be very clever, very shrewd. And I think, on the basis of the judgment, there may be some sympathy factor for Nikhil Kumaraswamy, because they also want a future Vokkaliga leader next to Mr. HD Kumaraswamy, who always says, I'm not having good health. If you don't give me votes, you give me poison. Like that, the shedding of tears by both, his grandfather, HD Devagowda, and Kumaraswamy, and also the kind of sympathy factor that Mr. Nikhil Kumaraswamy may place before the Vokkaliga votes in Channapatna. Perhaps he will give a tough fight, but you never know. You see the kind of electoral results.
Very exciting by the different theories that both my guests have presented. And I've completely run out of time. My thanks are due to Professor Chambi Puranik, as always, for throwing light on one of the most exciting bypolls in Karnataka, that being Channapatna. Thank you, Professor. And also to Bansi Kalappa for joining us on this broadcast. And now it's time for a break, but I'm coming right back with lots more news on Karnataka.
Cooking is an act of love. The first act of love we receive from our mothers in the families.
Modern Indian food is all about contemporary and innovative approach to traditional Indian cooking.
Representation it's also important,
I want to wear this white coat every day and then be a chef.
There are stories. If the name of whiskey is Ingrid, then there is a whole story behind that.
Cooking food is like a therapy.
And eating one is like a pleasure I can give it to myself.
With Lounge Nights, I'm on a journey to celebrate and recognize the best food and nightlife establishments in various cities across India.
Radical presents Lounge Nights every Saturday and Sunday only on News9 Live.
In the heart of New York, an Indian spectacle unfolds. Step into the world of the elite saga, featuring influential Indians who've rocked the globe. From culinary geniuses,
this has been nothing less than a dream,
to the wisdom of sages.
And which is why success can never be spelt without you.
Discover the stories behind the stars. Experience the magic behind the scenes. At the first Indian event at the Statue of Liberty. Watch the Elite Saga streaming only on News9 Plus. Download now.
The Lokayukta police questioned Chief Minister Siddaramaya's wife Parvati BM for over 2 hours today in connection with the Muda allotment case. This follows an FIR filed against Siddaramaya, his wife and other associates after a special court order on 25th of September. The court's decision came shortly after the Karnataka High Court upheld the governor's sanction to investigate alleged irregularities in site allotments by the Mysuru Urban Development Authority or Muda. Additionally, the ED has also registered a case against the Chief Minister on similar grounds, intensifying the scrutiny surrounding the alleged allotment irregularities. And to speak more on this, my colleague Mohammad Bajiullah is joining us. Baji, 2 hours, with Parvati, and this is after she has surrendered the 14 sites back to Muda.
Well, Sudha, it is the part of the investigation. Lokayukta, which is the first agency that was involved in this entire operation, and they were looking into all the accused that have been named in this FIR. So, Parvati was one of the accused in this entire matter, and today we saw them approaching and having a questioning done with the Chief Minister's wife. It went on for 2 to 3 hours, and it happened in a very hush-hush manner where none of the reporters usually actually got a chance to get a grab or a visual of that entire incident. But the Lokayukta questioned Parvati with regards to her involvement, because this particular land that we are talking is actually named after Parvati, and it was given to her by her own brother. So she is also one of the key accused in this entire matter. And today, the Lokayukta, after doing its due diligence with regards to the investigation, with regards to collecting statements and samples, today questioned Parvati. And in the coming days, we've also been told that the Chief Minister will also be questioned with regards to this entire land deal that took place at that point of time. Now, the Lokayukta is investigating the fact on how this entire matter and this land deal, this land that was given to them by the Muda, moved from the Kesari village to the other village in Vijayanagara, and how the ratio between, which was 30-70, was turned into 50-50, and how this entire land deal went about. Therefore, all the 4 accused who are being named in this entire matter, from Devraj, the first owner of this property, to the brother-in-law Mallikarjun, to whom the property was transferred to, then to Parvati, the wife of Siddaramaya, and Siddaramaya again. All these people will be questioned in the coming days. So Devraj and Mallikarjun have been questioned. Today it was Parvati. And in the coming days, we might even see the Chief Minister being called in. So this is one of the developments that have taken place with regards to the Muda scam.
So where was this questioning? I mean, if you can tell us the location. I am asking you because, Vaji, all through the Chief Minister says she's a very simple lady, which is true. We hardly ever see Mrs. Siddaramaya in any meetings, nowhere. She's never to be seen. So therefore, when she wrote that emotional letter saying my husband is above board, everyone said she's a very quiet person. So where was this, questioning? Where did it take place?
So right now, this investigation is being looked by the Mysore Lokayukta. So the entire questioning took place in Mysore itself, and the epicenter of the investigation also is the Mysore. Therefore, the Lokayukta division that is being stationed at Mysore has been doing the shot. We've also seen Snemai Krishna, who was there yesterday, who had gone in to depose a few documents with regards to this case. So therefore, these questioning are happening in the hometown of the Chief Minister itself, Mysuru, and Mysuru being the epicenter because the entire Muda scam took place in that particular area. So the Lokayukta in Mysuru did this questioning and she was called into the office that is where we've been told that the questioning took place, Sudha.
And on that note, thank you very much, Mohammad Wajullah, for joining us on this broadcast. Big news coming, Parvati Siddaramaya's wife questioned by Muda. The next story, which is coming up on your screens, falling fertility in South India sparks concerns over rising old age dependency and also Lok Sabha representation. That's coming up. That's the story that we are discussing. Falling fertility trend in South India. Southern India has witnessed a significant demographic shift as its total fertility rate, which is called TFR, falls below the replacement level. So researchers are very concerned, and they are warning about falling fertility rates across several South Indian states, a trend that may lead to significant demographic, economic and political consequences. According to the recent data, Tamil Nadu has the lowest fertility rate at 1.4, followed by Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Kerala, which is at 1.5, and Karnataka at 1.6, all below the national average of 2.1. Experts say that this decline is irreversible and shall have far-reaching impact on everything from economic growth to parliamentary representation. According to reports from the International Institute for Population Sciences in Mumbai, states like Andhra Pradesh could lose as many as 5 seats in the Lok Sabha after the next census. The implications are, however, very serious. Reduced workforce, increased old age dependency and diminished political influence in parliament, particularly after 2026, when delimitation may reduce the state's representation due to population-based seat allocation. Now, recently, if you may recall, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, as also Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Muka Stalin, drew attention to falling fertility rates in their states and urged families to have more children.
చేసే పని మీకోసరమే కాదు, దేశం కోసం కూడా, సమాజ హితం కూడా. ఏ పనైనా చేసి డబ్బులు సంపాదిస్తాం కానీ పిల్లలు కూడా ఉంటేనే, లేకుంటే జనాభా ఉంటేనే వాళ్ళ కోసం మనం పనిచేసే పరిస్థితి వస్తుంది. దీన్ని కూడా నేను ఒక ఉద్యమంగా తీసుకుంటున్నా. ఒకప్పుడు నేనే ప్రారంభించాను జనాభా నియంత్రణ. ఆ రోజు నేను అందరికీ చెప్పాను, మీరంతా ఎక్కువ పిల్లలు కనద్దండి, కంటే చాలా సమస్యలు వస్తాయి. నీళ్లు పెరగడం లేదు, గాలి పెరగడం లేదు, భూమి పెరగలేదు అని ఆ రోజు చెప్పాను. నా మాట విని మీరందరూ ఆ పని ప్రారంభించి 10 ఏళ్లలోనే జనాభాను తగ్గించేశారు. ఇప్పుడు నా భయం అంతా ఏంటంటే జనాభా పూర్తిగా తగ్గిపోయే పరిస్థితికి వస్తా ఉంది. ఒకప్పుడు 2 పిల్లల కంటే ఎక్కువ ఉంటే పంచాయతీల్లో పోటీ చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు.
முன்பெல்லாம் செல்வங்கள் என்று சொல்லுகிற போது 16 பெற்று பெருவாழ்வு என்று சொல்லுவார்கள். 16னா 16 குழந்தைகள் அல்ல, 16 செல்வங்கள். ஆனா இன்னைக்கு நாடாளுமன்ற தொகுதியெல்லாம் குறையும் என்ற நிலை வருகிற போது ஏன் அளவோடு பெற்று வளமோடு வாழ வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லுவோம். நாமும் 16 குழந்தைகளை பெற்றுக் கொள்ளலாமே என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய நிலை இன்றைக்கு உணர்வு வந்திருக்கிறது. அதையும் நாம் மறந்துவிடக்கூடாது.
You know, this falling fertility rates, which was actually hailed at one time, we all remember, hum do hamare do, and it was in the 60s and the 70s. Today, the South Indian states have to actually pay a price for this. You see that. What is the total fertility rate? That is, if you are below 2.1, then it's a cause for concern, and this is irreversible, like we are showing it on the screen. And all the South Indian states, whether it is Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala, they are all below the TFR. That fertility rate in Tamil Nadu has dropped, so has Andhra Pradesh, Kerala at 1.5 and Karnataka at 1.6, and this is irreversible. So it will have a political impact, of course, because your seats will reduce after the delimitation in 2026, but more than that, the workforce. If you have an aging population, then what happens to jobs where you need young, strong, energetic people to work? Not being an ageist, but that is being very, very practical, that you do need young people as a workforce. So these states, it will be a double whammy. One is the diminishing political kind of a representation in parliament, and also there is also about young workforce which is also diminished. Andhra could lose as many as 5 seats in the Lok Sabha. Can you imagine? And that's why Chandrababu Naidu was speaking about having more children. It is not just, it is also increased old age dependency and diminished political influence, of course. And this is what makes also Muka Stalin speak about how, in the good old days when we used to bless a young couple, we would say have 16 children. And there came a time when we would all laugh and say, what does he mean? But then for all this, you also need an egalitarian society where the woman does not feel that childbearing and raising children is all on her alone. Let me just play you both the bites yet again of Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh as well as Muka Stalin, and then we get back to this debate with an expert on the topic.
చేసే పని మీకోసరమే కాదు, దేశం కోసరం కూడా, సమాజ హితం కూడా. ఏ పనైనా చేసి డబ్బులు సంపాదిస్తాం కానీ పిల్లలు కూడా ఉంటేనే, లేకుంటే జనాభా ఉంటేనే వాళ్ళ కోసం మనం పనిచేసే పరిస్థితి వస్తుంది. దీన్ని కూడా నేను ఒక ఉద్యమంగా తీసుకుంటున్నా. ఒకప్పుడు నేనే ప్రారంభించాను జనాభా నియంత్రణ. ఆ రోజు నేను అందరికీ చెప్పాను, మీరంతా ఎక్కువ పిల్లలు కనద్దండి, కంటే చాలా సమస్యలు వస్తాయి. నీళ్లు పెరగడం లేదు, గాలి పెరగడం లేదు, భూమి పెరగలేదు అని ఆ రోజు చెప్పాను. నా మాట విని మీరందరూ ఆ పని ప్రారంభించి 10 ఏళ్లలోనే జనాభాను తగ్గించేశారు. ఇప్పుడు నా భయం అంతా ఏంటంటే జనాభా పూర్తిగా తగ్గిపోయే పరిస్థితికి వస్తా ఉంది. ఒకప్పుడు 2 పిల్లల కంటే ఎక్కువ ఉంటే పంచాయతీల్లో పోటీ చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు.
முன்பெல்லாம் செல்வங்கள் என்று சொல்லுகிற போது 16 பெற்று பெருவாழ்வு என்று சொல்லுவார்கள். 16னா 16 குழந்தைகள் அல்ல, 16 செல்வங்கள். ஆனா இன்னைக்கு நாடாளுமன்ற தொகுதியெல்லாம் குறையும் என்ற நிலை வருகிற போது ஏன் அளவோடு பெற்று வளமோடு வாழ வேண்டும் என்று நாமும் 16 குழந்தைகளை பெற்றுக் கொள்ளலாமே என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய நிலை இன்றைக்கு உணர்வு வந்திருக்கிறது. அதையும் நாம் மறந்துவிடக்கூடாது.
And we are now joined by Dr. Srinivas Goli, Associate Professor, International Institute of Population Sciences in Mumbai. Professor Goli, such a pleasure to have you and on the show. Professor Goli, this is not just about, diminishing seats. Of course, that's a major concern, because if states do not have proper representation, then obviously they lose out on a lot of decision making, and also, to lack of any other phrase, the buying power. But tell me something, overall on societies in the south of India, what kind of an impact does it have, Professor Goli?
Yeah, I've been writing since last 3 days. I've been saying to different newspapers the same thing, that the declining fertility rates are going to impact the population structure, and where you will have rise in aging population, declining in working age population. And when you have a higher aging population, it is going to have an impact on first your economic, because there are more consumers than the producers, and it will have a direct impact on your economy. Second, your support ratios will get affected. Support ratios means the number of people available for serving the dependent population. Who are dependent population here? The older population. So we generally, in our analysis, we say that any state which have more than 15% of older population or old age dependence ratio, which will be facing the aging crisis. And all the South Indian states now currently are entered into this zone according to our projected population estimates.
Professor Srinivas, what is very worrisome is that it's irreversible. I mean,
yeah, fertility is not
that,
reversible.
Yeah, so that you have to explain. It's almost like, you know, a family planning, you know, operation. In some cases it's reversible, in some it's not. You can't do anything about it. So why do you think it's irreversible, sir? Can't we say take some action? I mean, Chief Minister's coming and saying, bless you, have more children is all very well. But why is it that it can't be changed, Professor Srinivas?
Yeah, it is not reversible. It's not the first time it is happening in the world. It has happened across the world, and people have announced more incentives, more strict laws than what we are looking forward to today. So, for example, simple example I'll tell. South Korea is ready to give 60,000 rupees for women if she come forward and have a child. But no, South Korea is the lowest fertility in the world, 0.8, less than a child in the population. So, and China is, you know, autocratic country. Even there, who adopted a one-child policy, now they're forcing for the women for 3 children, but it's not happening. An old European country which is announced much bigger financial incentives than what we would like to announce today, or why it is not reversible is because, you know, cost of childbearing is increasing.
Yes.
One side encouraging women to go for jobs, where women to go for higher education,
right?
And they're entering into labor market. They're spending more time in the education sector. So the higher aged marriages. Now, do you want them to drop out from all the education sector and employment sector and want to?
No, but Dr. Professor Srinivas, what if it was more equal, egalitarian? You know, where I work, I give birth to a child, but my husband also bears half, you know, of child rearing. That does not happen because the burden is mostly on women to do that. And I'm not just talking about privileged people like I, who's educated and get good jobs, but even the woman who's working in a farmland, sir, she's the one who's cradling the child and also working in fields.
Yeah, we see this. That's what we are saying. This is like that's where women are, because now the women's aspirations are not with just livelihood or income. They are also looking for a self-esteem, self-actualization, I call it. So now unless this gender egalitarianism or equal sharing of work, both household and outside, does not come, it is not possible. But whether in a patriarchal society like that, can we build that very quickly? When can we change the gender norms that men also started sharing the household chores, cooking, cleaning? 70% of cooking, cleaning, and all the work is still done by women. The men involvement in maternal health care, men involvement in child care is very less. And our labor market laws, labor market is very biased.
Professor, Professor Srinivas, so this is a danger kind of alarm which is ringing for South Indian states. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely a solution. Is the only simple solution that lies is that, you know, fertility cannot be reversed. If just you want to maintain the current fertility rates, you must bring the gender egalitarianism or gender. And one more thing, we have to see, we are at, for example, Andhra Pradesh today is 1.5, but what is the per capita income of Andhra Pradesh? Only $2,600.
All right. Very worrisome, but it's very worrisome. But the point is that I've completely run out of time, so I possibly can't give you more time, and my apologies. But Professor Srinivas Goli, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Very, very telling statistics there. And now, as promised, I leave you with all the other top stories from the south of India. Thank you so much for watching. Namaskaram.
24th of October, Turkey launched airstrikes targeting Kurdish militant positions in northern Syria and Iraq. Now this followed a terrorist attack on a key defense company in Ankara. The Turkish Ministry of Defense has reported that more than 30 targets were destroyed in the aerial offensive. This comes even as the Israel-Gaza conflict spreads into Lebanon and the Red Sea and threatens to push an already volatile West Asia to the very brink of disaster. The Ankara attack. Why is Turkey striking Syria and Iraq? News9 Plus decodes. On 23rd of October, two militants set off explosives and opened fire at the headquarters of the Turkish aerospace industries near Ankara. The attack claimed the lives of 5 people and left about 22 injured. The militants, a man and a woman, were killed at the scene by security forces. The attack has drawn immediate condemnation. Turkish authorities have accused the PKK of orchestrating the attack. The Interior Minister, Ali Yerlikaya, labelled it an act of terror, and President Erdogan, who is presently attending a BRICS summit in Russia, expressed his outrage. I condemn this heinous terrorist attack. The PKK, which Turkey holds responsible for this attack, has waged an insurgency against the Turkish state for decades now. This latest incident has further inflamed tensions between the two, rekindling a conflict that has claimed thousands of lives since the 1980s. The Turkish Ministry of Defense has confirmed that more than 30 targets were destroyed in the aerial offensive, which struck suspected strongholds of the Kurdistan Workers' Party. While the ministry has withheld specific details about precise locations, the strikes are believed to have hit PKK bases in the Sinjar region of Iraq and areas controlled by Kurdish forces in northeastern Syria. These zones have long been used as safe havens by the PKK, allowing them to launch attacks into Turkey. So who are the PKK? The PKK, also known as the Kurdistan Workers' Party, was formed in the late 1970s and is part of a broader Kurdish independence movement that began after World War I. The Kurds are an ethnic group of around 30 million people spread across Turkey, Iraq, Syria, and Iran. They were promised a homeland under the 1920 Treaty of Sevres after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. However, this promise was never realized when the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923 defined modern Turkey's borders, leaving the Kurds without a state. Since then, the Kurds have been marginalized politically, culturally, and economically in countries where they reside. In Turkey, Kurds faced repression and were denied political representation and cultural rights. This has led to the formation of the PKK, which started its armed insurgency in 1984, initially demanding an independent Kurdish state within Turkey. The conflict peaked in the 1990s, with widespread military operations against the Kurds, displacing hundreds of thousands. Though the PKK